should be going live. Hey, happy Sunday night. Feeling all right. How you doing, Abby? We are all right. We are rocking another installment of Klooby Snacks. This is week number 8. Amazing. Time is undefeated. The internet is undefeated. So if you got anybody out there, if you want to join in the conversation that we're going to have after we read the motivational quote and my daughter's response to it, journal style response, that's what Klooby Snacks is all about. It's a really fun project for us in her senior year before she goes off to college, and even after she goes off to college, because we're going to be doing this all year long. So we are in the spring of 2025 now. By fall of 25, she's going to be amazing. She's going to be in Fordham University in New York City. What up? Yep. That's crazy. When I think about that, I have such admiration. So you are Abby. Let me say hello before we get into the programming for tonight. Hello, Abby. How are you? What's happening?
I'm great. I'm currently on, it's the last day of my February break, my ski week break. So excited to get back to school. Never been more excited about anything. That's basically it.
Are you serious? Like, no, hang on a second. Some people say that tongue in cheek.
Well, kind of.
Yeah, you're the type of person that enjoys school, right? Like, no, this is a fun semester for you.
I love all of my classes right now. They're all just perfect for me. I do have a lot of tests and essays this week, so it's not really exciting, but I do like the routine and the environment of school, not the after school work, but I'm excited for the routine again.
Well, let's go ahead and say hello to Patty Blakesley. How are you, Patty? The inner business coach. Happy Sunday, joining us from Chicago area-ish. Is it cold? Is it cold?
Well, it got above freezing today.
Okay. Above freezing. You know what they say, every day above freezing is a good day.
Exactly.
All right, that's pretty funny. As I was saying before, if anybody out there in cyber world wants to join us live, if you're not watching the replay of this, it's the same URL every week, tinyurl.com/KloobySnack, and then whatever week of the year it is. And we happen to be in week 8 right now. So as a matter of brief reset, you guys know I'm Jeff Klubeck, and I'm the founder and author of a bunch of stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I just like hanging out with my daughter on Sunday nights, to be honest with you. It's just super cool. Although I might have a trick up my sleeve. I mean, if the vibe allows for it, I might go somewhere different this week than we've gone in weeks past. So let me just set the table. Klooby Snacks, there's 52 of them, and it's the 5th Get a Clue in 52 book that I've done. But whereas the others have focused on soft skills and maybe some Klooby Snacks are used to describe the other tips in the soft skills books, we're putting Klooby Snacks at the forefront, and I couldn't get this project where it is without Abby and her perspectives. And just from the moment I asked her for help with the project took a different direction. Tonight is kind of cool, though. What I have up my sleeve is like the closest, I think that, I don't know, the closest I could get to like what I was imagining before I asked you for help with the project, Abigail. But first, let's be true to what we've done together. This project is broken down into 4 categories, not 5 like the previous. And it was fun because we got to call them Baker's Dozens, because the original Klooby Snacks is my wife's homemade cookies. And so this is a through line family recipe, cut the umbilical, off to college. That's the whole theming of it all. And in the first part of the year here, the first Baker's Dozen is all loving flavored. So having said that, let me go ahead and let me ask you, Abby, do you want to do the oral review of the first 7 snacks before we get to snack number 8? I'm
ready for this.
Okay, but that's okay. I'll help you visually, like, because if you like, let's just start. Like, snack number 1 in the loving flavored section was.
When you have to keep it all together, love is the best adhesive.
That's right. The best adhesive. And boy, when it comes to family and it comes to pressure tests, it comes to navigating college, comes to schedules, comes to friendships, comes to growing up in this world, I'm sure there's a lot to keep together. So we recommend love. And snack number 2 was?
I will always love you more than I will ever miss you.
Now, listen, Patty, I'm glad that you're here tonight, because we had a rich conversation about this one when it came up, and we talked about focusing on the positive part, the love part. And then, but I introduced like, hey, guess what? I had to focus on the missing part. And here's this new thought that I had, a new layer for this snack. Guess what? This snack really comes in handy when we have to say goodbye to past versions of ourselves. all the conversations that we've had about this snack have been from the perspective of somebody else that we love. And we're always going to love them more than we miss them. But I had the revelation, it just smacked me in the head earlier in the week. I'm like, oh my God, I might have to say goodbye to a past version of myself. And love you, kid, but it ain't flying anymore. So we all have our growing to do. And I just thought I would introduce the looking within on that one. Abby, let's get back to the review.
Yep.
Number 3.
If it were up to me, it would be called profrontation.
Oh, so much fun I have with the irony of the pro and the con and the con and the pro, and how sometimes the pro gets put on something that's a negative and the con gets put on something that's a positive. And we have a lot of fun with that one. After Klooby Snack number 3, naturally came number 4.
I would rather fail in my commitment to loving than succeed in my commitment to suffering.
Yeah, and so this is a Klooby Snack, kind of like tonight's, where it was originally authored away, and then I got out of the way when you were on the scene, right? You were like, hey, and I just made total room for your input and your journalistic eyeballs. And anyway, it was just tonight's kind of the same way. It ended up different from how it originated, right? So anyway, we'll come back to that. Number 5.
It takes as much confidence to be led as it does to lead.
Yeah. We lead from whatever seat we're in, right? And sometimes the best leadership is knowing when to follow. There's a popular book. It's not the how, it's the who, right? So I always want to keep my eyes open for people I admire, respect, and see what they're doing and follow along and see where it gets me. Klooby Snack number 6.
When possible, replace statements with questions.
Yes, and I can tell you that I was on my feet earlier this week delivering the Integrity Game keynote, but it was packaged as a self-awareness presentation. It was my first ever Vistage talk. And in the Q&A, in the interactivity of it all, one of the members of the emerging leaders group was asking about a pressure test that she was feeling about the need to fit everything in and what's important and what's not and how do you communicate it. And I was just hearing the way that she was asking the question. She had a really good informed, strong opinion. Are you with me? An informed, strong opinion about what should or shouldn't be a priority. And all I said when she asked for advice, how do you help with this? I said, well, instead of telling people that you don't think we should do this, don't think we should do that, put it in question form. You're like, replace the statement with question. Hey, tell me why this has priority at this point, or compared to the other things that have priority, how much does this have? Or explain to me what I may not be seeing about the importance of this, right? So she's like, oh my God, you just saved my life or changed my life. It was, to me, it was that simple of a piece of an offering to her deal. But it was when people are in the trenches, they don't always slow down, take a deep breath, and figure out how to package the communication in the most effective way. So I didn't mean to go too far on this, but like, it's just relevant that this week, this piece of, it's motivational quote, but it was actually a response to a question, a piece of communication advice that somebody thought was very valuable. So awesome. And then last week we had number 7.
Being real is about being truthful to what is known. Being vulnerable, however, is the courage to learn more about what is true.
Now, I think we could talk about this one right here for 52 weeks. I think like it's important, right? It's a big snack, but we're in week 8. We talked about this one last week, week 7. So we're in week 8 now. Before we get into the reading of tip number 8, or not tip, Klooby Snack number 8, Patty, do you have anything, any questions, anything that's on, we always want to honor the time that people are taking to come on board, because once we get going, we might get going. It won't take long for us to read the snack and the response, but is there anything that you want to say or ask before we get into it?
No, I'm just glad to be here.
Okay. All right. Super cool. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and put it on the board, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. Klooby Snack number 8. Everybody is important if we take the time to know their importance. Abby?
This year, I'm taking AP Literature. This class is only taught for one class period, consisting of only 30 students out of our class of 500 seniors. It takes a very specific type of student to take AP Literature, it being the hardest English class that our high school offers. On the first day of school, I walked into my third period AP Lit classroom, seeing only 3 familiar faces. Everyone else in the class I had passed in the halls, but it was nothing more than that. We had never spoken, nor did I even know a majority of their names. The table I sat at was filled with people I'd never spoken to, but I've gotten to know them throughout the class. Every day I learn about new clubs they're involved in, awards they've won, and different extracurriculars they do. If I hadn't been in the same class as them, I would have never learned anything about these people. Now, when I see my AP Lit classmates in the halls, we stop and say hello to each other. For my 3 years prior to this, I would pass these people in the halls and not even make eye contact with them. Talking to them in class has turned them from just being other students into people I would consider friends. Taking time to get to know them has shown me their importance and revealed common interests we share. Everybody is important if we take the time to know their importance.
Really, really cool. All right. So I'm going to come out of that the same way I went into it. Patty, do you have anything to say first in response to what Abby just read to us, or her perspective on this snack?
Well, I think, it's a very valid perspective. And it's amazing to me as I know people and I get to know people more and ask them questions. Good point there. There are things that people, carry around that's been tragic, been very dear to them, been amazing. And it's that sharing that leads to connection and understanding. And so I find that it's a good mindset to think about everyone who passes you. There's a reason. And sometimes you have to explore to find it.
Yeah. Abigail, did you have your own hand up after you read your own snack? Did I see that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it. What do you got?
I was gonna add on to this. We'll have two separate points. But one, like being on the newspaper, it's like our job to always be like looking for stories. That's through like just eavesdropping on conversations people have in our classes, when people talk about things that they do, and then we're like, wait, can I interview you for the paper? Stuff like that. So it's a lot of like, we're just told to constantly just listen in and be curious and pay attention where like we don't normally focus our attention. And like through doing this, like I've learned about so many like people at my school that before were kind of just like background characters in my life as I was background characters in theirs. Like it's and then realizing like we have so many pilots at our school. We have like there's all of these people that like I never would have known. And every time that I like either read somebody else's article about a person or I write my own, I'm just like, it is crazy that all of these people have their own extensive like separate lives, but I would have never known if it just stayed as, oh, we just pass each other in the halls. And I think about that a lot too. And I'm like in like big rooms of people, just like, what's everybody's story? Like why? I don't know. I just think it's so weird that everybody has, because I think sometimes I have not like, well, yeah, I have this like kind of perception that like everybody's not like an extra, but there's certain people you see and then that you just see them once and I don't really take the time to think about like, oh, why are they here at this exact time? And what did they do today? And who are they, like whatever. So like taking the time to just like question who these people are and what their stories are, I feel like is very interesting and entertaining.
Mm-hmm. So that's my door opening right there, taking the time to question instead of judge, right? And so now what I want to do, like this special kind of trick up my sleeve, which isn't really a trick up my sleeve.
Yeah, I'm really confused.
No, I was just creating a little bit of mystery. So what my marketing people have asked me to do this year is write an email once a week, just like from the desk of Jeff Klubeck, like from my own voice, instead of like, you could tell the difference, like the marketing emails that go out, right? Versus, but it was important, like, hey, this is really me writing this one, right? And of course, the marketers, it's all based on stuff I do. So they're trying to capture my voice, and I think they do a great job. Shout out to Vicky in particular, our copywriter right now. I think she does like one of those people that does a better job with my voice than I do in that context. But what I want to show you guys, what I'm sharing with you right now, and by the way, back to what I had said earlier, if I was doing this project by myself, Abby, right? This is what I'm about to share. I'm going to go ahead and read something word for word right now, which is what I would have written about this Klooby Snack if I was doing the whole project by myself, but there's a through line to all of it, and it highlights, our connection, which I'm enjoying just watching unfold every week. So let me, if I may, share this with you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and read it out loud. Hello, whoever, and subject critical thinking for NKLUs. Right, that's how I spell. Here we go. All right. Perhaps you know that I've been teaching college-level communication courses since last century, 1997, and most of those courses have been the general education requirement public speaking course. In that course, it is required that the informative speech is done on an intercultural topic and with a classmate or partner. And what we see here is the graphic. This is a screenshot of the topic selection prompting that I give my students to indicate who they're working with, what population of people they want to study, and then what they think their main points are going to be. So that's the visual to go with the letter that went out. Back to reading word for word. The overarching idea is to expose learners to different backgrounds, perspectives, values, beliefs, and ways of doing and being. We all grew up with our own, but we all grow into exposure to many others. How does an educated person respond, react, interact with someone who is different? The informative speech is where we are at in our semester right now at San Diego State University, and I've always believed that the first step to facilitating classroom instruction on differing cultures is teaching critical thinking. The problem with teaching critical thinking, however, is that we must challenge each student to question their own values, attitudes, and beliefs. We have to break through subjectivity, bias, comfort zones, and ego defensive barriers to anything, quote, different. I've always looked forward to this challenge and opportunity to help young adults open their minds and fall in love with curiosity for others instead of judgment of them. Thank God I've done a really good job with my daughter. Okay, this year, these days, however, in our country, in our currently polarizing media culture, it is more challenging than ever. What I'm saying here is I used to look forward to teaching critical thinking. Now it's tough. It's more tough than it's ever been. Today's headlines are filled with messages that are anti-inclusive and, in my opinion, ethnocentric versus ethno-relative. We are being taught to fear or hate anything different than us. Fewer and fewer of us are curious about the other. Fewer of us are listening to the other. More and more of us are left to fight for ourselves versus fighting for the other. As a professor at the front of the room and as a business owner that serves the public, it is wise to keep my politics to myself. Republicans and Democrats need my services. And no student in a classroom should feel like they are being indoctrinated politically or religiously. So I never tell anyone what to think, but I do let people know what prevents them from thinking critically and what to overcome if they value inclusion, as I jovially call it. There are 5 personal tendencies that we all have that prevent us from being objective, receiving new information, considering differing perspectives, and taking 100% responsibility for ourselves. One tendency is self-interest, where we automatically block out ideas, information, situations that do not immediately appeal to our current interests. And as this week's Klooby Snack suggests, we do the same with people. So there you have it, right? Woo, that was a mouthful. Know their importance. But it was just like, there's so many layers here. Number one, Abby, in what you wrote, the pebble falls from the mountain or the rock. It's all made of the same stuff. I'm relieved as a dad that, our commitment to inclusion, to curiosity, to looking for what's important it's in you, that journalistic eye, that open mind, that at core, this is a loving flavored snack. The willingness to be vulnerable, like, oh my God, when we take a moment to pay attention to anybody else, we're in that moment vulnerable, right? Not in our comfort zone. We're in a vulnerable zone. So there's I just thought I would share and give, I scratched myself on the back a little bit, but that's kind of a sample of what it would have been if, and you're like, it's so funny. I can hear your voice like, no, Dad, way too academic, way too boring. No, too much you, Dad. No. And that's why the project came out the way it did. So you're right.
Been triple the length. Literally page count in the thousands, but half of it would be ...
in all caps and parenthetical references. And don't forget when I like to bold, italicize the same.
Yeah.
All right. So what else? What else do we have by way of discussion? Because now I'm saying, hey, self-interest is one personal barrier to critical thinking And this snack, the other thing I want to say real quick, right? And I'm going to try to be quick about this. Is just in I know you're like, I don't believe you, Dad.
My lie detector just like,
oh man.
Did you see me laugh?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So look, this is the syllabus and resource packet that I've taught out of for decades, literally. And this is what I give students, and this is this semester's packet, right? So what I'm going to scroll to is the page on critical thinking right here. It should be page 34. So we're talking about objectivity versus subjectivity, and self-interest is one of the 5 personal tendencies that keep us from being objective and being interested in other things, on and on. And so here it is. This is it right here. Everything is blank. So I want you to know, like, even though it shows up, everyone is important. If we take the time to know their importance, this Klooby Snack started off with everything is interesting except what we fail to create an interest in. Yeah. So, yeah. So I just wanted to say, like, isn't it cool? Like, I'm highlighting Patty. It's like, I wasn't like, oh no, this is what the real Klooby Snack is. I'm like, no. Hey, if you want to take it in a different direction, Abigail, let's go. Let's partner and let's really make space for your interpretation and how you see the world. And it's all the same thing, because at core, it's just different expressions of love. That's what we're really talking about. And the world is big enough for all kinds of different flavors of Klooby Snacks. So I wanted to share that. Yeah. Thank you.
Adding on kind of to what you were saying about like the self-interest thing, reminded me of something like it's going on in one of my classes right now, because I'm in AP Gov, and all of our entire AP Gov class is literally, for some reason, almost like 40 students, which is not normal. The 99% of them lean one way, and there's one student that leans the other way. And I'd sit next to her in class, and I've noticed that every time she speaks, she'll like, everybody will laugh at her whenever she shares her opinion out loud. Like, she gets all these like remarks and all this stuff. And sitting next to her, I eventually just started asking her, like, why do you think this? Like, whatever. And we've come to like, we have like very like thorough conversations, and we disagree on literally everything. Like literally everything. But asking questions instead of making the job. There's a lot. Every Klooby Snack so far has like contributed to this, but there was like, I've just started asking her questions. I was like, why do you think that? Or like, I think that's interesting that you think this, whatever. Why do you think this? And then now she's become like one of my like actual friends, and she's like, it's crazy that we could actually like talk about this stuff, because
you've gotten past the ego defense. You've gotten past, you're showing up so curious that the conversation is non-threatening to her. Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but
I am really curious, because I'm just like, of course, like the initial response is like, it is so crazy that somebody could even think this, like, that's so horrible, whatever. But I'm like, but how and like why? So I've talked to her, and we've like come to this whole like common ground thing on not even just political stuff, on so many topics that we like disagree in. And then throughout the year, because it's like a whole year-long class, we literally just went to like, we drove up to Irvine together. Like, she's one of my close friends, and she just like she keeps telling me, she's like, I love how you actually like listen, and you didn't just like judge me because you disagree, because she's like, she doesn't agree with me either, but we are able to like use the curiosity and whatever to actually put the differences aside. And
so people would rather like both sides are so afraid to admit they're wrong about anything. Both sides are afraid to admit they've been lied to or misled or propagandized or indoctrinated or hoodwinked or swindled or bamboozled, right? And that's kind of funny to me, Patty, because it probably means that both sides have. Anyway, the point is, red and blue, two wings of the same bird. But what's critical here, Abby, and what warms my heart is, one of the biggest contexts of the book is like, oh my God, my daughter is going away to college. And like every week I just get more and more confident about how ready you are for this world.
I am.
And let me ask Patty, let me ask you to jump in here now on her insight and the storytelling and this is rich stuff, I would imagine. By the way, that anecdote that you just shared, you didn't have that anecdote when we wrote the book, but that's the perfect anecdote for the new and improved. Anyway, Patty, what do you got?
No, I think Abby is right on target there, and reflecting the importance. I liked how you tied this Klooby Snack into critical thinking.
Yes.
Because that was really clear when we let down our barriers and operate out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
That's supportive of critical thinking, because now we're not being judgmental, we're curious.
Yeah, and my professional work, from the integrity game to accountability coaching to and at home, I fail, Abigail. I'm sorry. I fail at home all the time in my efforts to make accountability non-threatening. I want it to be non-threatening. I fail so often, but I think I've done some good stuff.
Yeah, I think that Abby's a testimony to that. So stop it.
Okay. But yeah, like that's. Can we imagine a world if accountability was non-threatening? Can we imagine a world, to get the judgment out of it, self-judgment, judgment of others, etc. So curiosity. I love my favorite thing tonight, Abby, is when you like all Klooby Snacks are in play right here. Basically,
it's crazy. I feel like I'm like being like controlled. Like I don't even know. Like the lens through which I like view everything has just shifted. Oh my! When I was with my friend in my gov class on Monday, we were on the drive back home, and she was asking me for like friend advice and relationship advice. And I don't remember what Klooby Snack I said, but I said one verbatim without even realizing. And I didn't even realize what I said until she was like, "Oh, that was good." And then I was like, "Wait, what did I say?" And she repeated it. And I was like, "Oh, that's my dad." Oh, and I didn't even realize. And it's like not even like I'm trying to take credit on my own. It's like I just like they're just engraved. And I don't remember which one I said, but it wasn't even one we've even gone over yet. But like I was like, "Oh wow." But every time I give anybody advice now, I'm just sounding more and more like you, and it's scarily wonderful. But
well, I don't think I'm the person that should say anything right now, Patty.
I think that Klooby Snacks, your dad, you, me, we all touch into a bigger world.
Yeah.
And sometimes I share your dad's Klooby Snacks with people, and I always try to remember to give him credit. But
sometimes it just feels good to keep some of the credit for myself. Like I remembered it. I get credit for remembering it.
No, sometimes I forget that it's your words. I just like, I just think about it so much, or I've applied it on my own. I think this might go for like the same for you, Patty, where it's like you just apply it in your own life so much that you forget that it didn't originate from you.
Right. Exactly.
I'll just say something. And
well,
then
look, I mean, hey, I don't care whose name's on the door as long as we get the job done. It's like the idea is I'm not without ego, and I do want Klooby Snacks to be the preferred brand of motivational quote. But as long as people are just loving a little bit more than they used to, as long as people are just vibrating less judgmentally than they used to, as long as people are willing to be more vulnerable than they used to, however they get there, Klooby Snacks are helping. I mean, if they're contagious, they're contagious. If they're addicting, they're addicting. Let's do it. But I love hearing this. It's great. I do. I mean, I do. I'm like, no. Tell me more about how these things just come to you randomly. It's called transcontextual lasting change, to use some jargon.
Yeah, that's why this happened on Monday, and I haven't mentioned it to you yet.
Oh wow!
I'm saving it for you.
Yeah, well, but that's another breakthrough in this book is like you're acknowledging, and you don't feel so threatened. It's not like a threat to you to actually tell me I'm right about something. It doesn't mean that you're wrong about anything to just tell me I'm right about something. Or it's like there's progress being made all around. I'm happier. It's like, I don't know. I just, it's wonderful. It's like really wonderful to be your dad. It's like really cool to be Abby's dad. So here we are. We've made it. I feel that we're appropriately in last call for comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, limericks, or expressions of gratitude.
Oh, week 9 is our favorite one to quote.
You peeked ahead. Now you've got me looking.
You quote.
Oh yeah, yeah. In terms of now, here's the thing. The next week's Klooby Snack, it's the first Klooby Snack that I tell my students when I'm teaching, because it's relative to nonverbal communication, and we talked about that early in the semester. So the Klooby Snack number 9 I actually drop in week 2 of the semester. But last call.
Okay, I've got a joke.
Okay, let's hear it, Patty. This is great. All right.
What is the Dalai Lama's favorite pizza?
Oh, I do not know.
One with everything.
That's great. That's great. I love it. One with
Sorry,
everything.
Abby, I had to do it.
Hey,
Can we get a
listen.
haiku next week?
Yeah, it's you guys.
I
Everything's.
like haikus.
Me too.
It could be like a fun little segment every week if everybody came with a joke or a riddle or a limerick or hey, I just want to try to create space for anything that hasn't been expressed or asked while communicating that we're about to wind it down. Yeah. So last call. Is there? I'm really content. It's like I've been doing these live streams. You have to understand this is number 8. So 52 times 5, 4, 5. Actually, because I did the first book 2 years in a row. Remember, Patty? The first book I did it in 2020 and 2021. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 5 years. 5 times 52 is 260, right? Isn't it?
I don't know.
This is the 268th week in a row, if my math is right.
262.
262, 5 times 52.
I don't know. I'll get my calculator out. I really want to know.
This is killing me. I'm a math guy. I mean, I'm a communication guy. So 52 times 5 is 260 plus 8. Yeah. So this is the 268th consecutive week that I've done a live stream, right? Reading some sort of tip or some sort of literature from a self-published book. So that's, has anybody done anything 268 weeks in a row that you know of? So that's another thing that's happening. But I only bring that up to say this. After 268 of these bad boys, I kind of know what feels like a good one or a bad one, or like one where I need to keep it going to make sure some valuable content drops, or one that I need to end it as quickly as possible because it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, this one has tons and tons of value in it, and I was indulging myself a little bit to go the critical thinking route, but I think it ended up landing perfectly, and I think it's timely, and it's it's just my way of just asking people to think about what's going on in the world right now and try to be a little more loving. That's my last comment.
Love is the best adhesive.
The best adhesive. We got to keep it together.
Yeah.
All right. Last call. Anybody else? Comments, questions, jokes, riddles, limericks, haikus, expressions of gratitude?
Nope.
All right. Well, get your Klooby Snacks one way or another, Amazon.com, and leave a review. And thank you, Patty. Yeah, thank you, Patty, for joining us. And thank you guys for anybody that's watching a recording of this in the future. Get ready. We are cooking up. You know what? Have I teased this, Patty? Do you have an imagination for a Klooby Snacks blog?
Mm-hmm.
So like this is self-contained to just my quote and Abby's response, but blog would invite the world to interact and comment, and we could do sidebar and other types of content. But what do you think? Can you have a vision for that? What do you think?
I envision that. I
right.
think that would be powerful.
And let me ask you a question, Patty. Patty, do you have any Abby is just old enough to know, right, what Dear Abby was, right? But like, I don't even know, does Dear Abby still exist? Is it around? Like, do you have any comments or insights on like what Dear Abby was or is? Or
Well, I mean, Dear Abby was an advice column,
right?
And her sister had one too, and you could recreate that since we have a new Abby.
No, well, no. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Abby, pay attention to Patty's face. Drum roll, please. Dear Klooby. Within the Klooby Snacks blog, have a Dear Klooby section where people could ask for advice in addition to all the other forms of content that we could produce. All right. It didn't immediately get her. She's considering it.
Well, the thing that comes to mind is a visual of a cookie. With ears and face and
a little chef hat.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh, you mean like a cartoon character to represent the person giving the advice, like a cookie face with a little hat hanging, like totally diagonal, hanging off the side. That hat can't be straight up; it's got to be hanging off the diagonal. right? And just
And he
the
has
face.
really big shoes.
Yeah, like tiny arms but big shoes.
Yeah.
Almost like an M&M, but a cookie instead with the chef's hat.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we got to get somebody on that. Okay, so now it has legs. I mean, with big shoes. Now this idea really has legs and tiny and big shoes and the face and okay. All right. Last call.
I think that was it.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, we'll see everybody next week. Always remember, stay jovial, stay curious, always be willing to be vulnerable in this crazy world. We need more love. All right. We're trying to do our best to lead the way. One crumble at a time.
Have a great
night, everyone.
Bye.